Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Splinter Rose Podcast, episode number 145. I am Brendan. UFC Fight Night, Tsarukyan versus Gamrot. What a banger. 3 weeks in a row, we've had a set of amazing cards with really good technical fights, some good knockouts on each card. This has been fantastic. And also 3 straight weeks of controversial judging across all platforms, meaning like UFC, PFL, Bellator, all of it. We're all good. It's been awful on one end and fantastic on the other. We're going to talk about Neil Magny versus Rakhmonov, Josh Parisian versus Baudot, and then the rest of we're going to cover the rest of the main card here. If you're looking for the prelims, that's on the next video. If you're looking for Bellator, that's on the last video. If you're looking for the PFL, it's in the video before that one. So if you are interested in any of those things, UFC, PFL, 1FC, Bellator, that kind of stuff, go ahead and subscribe to the channel because I talk about every single card that comes out, especially the UFC card. So we're talking like 2 or 3 videos every single week. I'm covering the PFL playoffs and all that good stuff. So if you like that stuff, subscribe to the channel so you see when the next video comes out. And if you like the video, click the like button. I'd appreciate it. Let's get started. Oh, also, the fights. I haven't been mentioning this, but all my UFC videos, as far as the main cards go, they're all timestamped. So down below, if you're interested in a specific fight and you just want to go over that one or you want to skip to the next one, it should be timestamped down below here in the. So if you just go ahead and look in the description and click on the fight that you want. So with that, let's get started and let's start talking about an amazing fight. Fantastic, high skill level with Arman Tsarukyan losing to Mateusz Gamrot via unanimous decision on all 3 judges' scorecards, 48-47. Pretty sure they got this one wrong. Let's break it down round by round how I had it, but I'm pretty sure they got this one wrong. Yeah, pretty freaking confident. Okay, so we're going to go over the scorecards, the official scorecards, and all that stuff. We're going to go over my scorecard and how I saw it. Before we get into that, though, I just want to say that these 2 fighters are incredibly well balanced, and they match up very well with each other to make for. How do I put this? If you didn't watch this fight, go watch it. By the way, it's fantastic. Okay, you're going to see a lot of high level things going on. And I don't mean that in a like a highfalutin UFC elitism type of way or a MMA elitism type of way. Like, oh, you casuals just won't understand what you're looking at. This is such high level grappling. Like, you just don't get it. No, none of that stuff. What I really mean is there's some exciting things that are happening. There's very high level striking. But if you watch the minute details and you're looking for things, it has something for everybody to enjoy. It's really good. It's not. Both guys got a little bit tired near the end of the fight, but there was such a dedication to not their game plans, but their strengths and imposing their will on their opponent, and then in return, their opponent countering with not just their will, but their will to. This refuse to accept any position, to refuse to accept any outcome that the other fighter wanted. It made for an amazing fight, very close. So this is not a robbery, isn't the right word, because I think this was a bad decision. Okay, robbery I reserve for when it's clear, it's absolutely clear that someone won a certain round or won a fight overall and they got robbed, right? Like, they clearly got their money taken from them. The commission failed them dramatically. Okay, this is not that. This was a close fight contested in each round in which I thought Tsarukyan got the best of most of these rounds. All right, let's go over some stuff here. In the first round, I just like the high level, the notes that I wrote here, like what high level grappling transitions. Maybe not the highest level as far as like we're talking Damian Maia, jiu-jitsu transitions here, but the wrestling and then the high activity and the effort, it's just awesome to watch. Guys refuse to accept not being in the dominant position. It was amazing. You had Gamrot lifting the leg up of Tsarukyan and trying to dump him, wheelbarrow him, and then dump him down. And he refused. Tsarukyan was like, "No, thanks, I'm good. I'm not doing that." And even when he did go down, he immediately got back up. This first round, I think Arman landed the better shots early, and landing his own takedown for good measure. The first round, I think, isn't so Gamrot was not. He wasn't out of the fight necessarily. You're going to hear me say this a lot, that each round was really close. But he wasn't finding the distance as well. He wasn't landing as well, and he wasn't able to get the takedowns that he wanted. The action was fast-paced. I know it doesn't look like the striking numbers are crazy, 37-19 as far as attempted strikes on each side, so not a crazy activity when it comes to striking, but the amount of movement and activity in general, there was a ton. But Arman got the better of this one. His striking numbers show it really well, I believe. 15-10 in favor of Arman. I feel like he got the better of the striking. I feel like he landed the more significant shots overall. So it's hard to take that first round away from him. And we'll go look at the scorecards in a second. I want to go over mine first before I get influenced by the judges' ones. So Arman was landing hard kicks to the body and upstairs to the arms. So technically those shots are blocked when Gamrot lifts his arm up, but they were landing. They were doing damage, just not to the head. And Arman's activity level seemed like it dropped a little bit, but his striking numbers went up. He attempted 64, not double, but quite a bit more, 27 more strikes attempted in the second round, but only landing 4 more. So yeah, his percentage went down, but we're not going to go over that again. Viewers of my channel know that I maybe harp on activity too much. I might do a recap of that again when it comes up in a more significant way. Although this might be a good example where activity level can go in your favor, even though your percentage striking numbers are worse than your opponent's. So just because you attempt more strikes, just because you are a more accurate striker does not necessarily mean you win the round if you both land the same amount of strikes. If all other things are identical and all other things are equal, and you land the same amount of strikes, the person with the higher activity level is actually winning the round. So in this case, if all other things were being equal, Tsarukyan would win as well. 19-18 as far as landed strikes in favor of Tsarukyan. He was landing really hard kicks to the body. All the damage in that round came from the kicks from Arman. I don't feel like Gamrot landed anything of real significance in the second round. As far as the grappling goes, second round, yeah, he was 0 for 1 on his takedown attempts. His grappling really didn't he didn't really have a lot of control until later in the fight, and even then it wasn't a ton, and we'll go over that. Because in the third round, Gamrot started making progress and landing more with his hands and having control time on the back along the fence and takedown attempts, because he was 2 for 6 in this third round here. So he did take him down, and he did have a minute of control time, which isn't insignificant. So he did something, but and this third round was harder for me to score, just watching it on the onset. But I want to say Gamrot did enough because he had the takedowns and he finally started landing strikes. But really, the most significant strikes were coming from Tsarukyan. I felt like those were more damaging. Now, the biggest difference might have been, this is why the judges might have gone this way, if you look at the head, body, and leg strikes. Whereas Tsarukyan was mixing it up really well, right? 11 to the head, 8 to the body, 3 to the legs, okay? Mixing it up pretty well. Gamrot went 19 to the head, 1 and 0. So, a majority of his strikes were going to this, if his significant strikes were going to the head, and that could have been the difference maker. Judges think that a single shot to the head is more damaging, therefore he landed more of those. Maybe those added up to more. I'm not too upset at giving Gamrot this round, I guess. I think he did a decent job, and he did some damage, but that's not the. This isn't the round I would be too concerned with, because even if you gave that to Gamrot, I'm not upset. it's like I said, it's a close round, 22-20 in favor of Tsarukyan. I know I'm spending a long time on this fight, but it was the main event, and there's a lot to break down because this fight was, contested relatively evenly. I gave that third round to Arman. I had him up 3-0, but maybe you gave that round to Gamrot. That's fine. Let's go to the fourth round. Let's look what happened here. Fourth round. Gamrot was clearly the better grappler, right? He was able to control Arman after a takedown later in this round, in the fourth round. But the damage all went to Arman, man. This fight's not, I wrote down, this fight is not a blowout, but all the rounds in my favor have gone to Tsarukyan because at one point Arman throws a kick, misses, and continues to spin through, lands a spinning back fist, and drops Gamrot. Now, Gamrot was off balance, and it wasn't necessarily just a hard enough punch to, put his lights out or anything like that in that moment. But it was a really significant strike. It was the most significant strike of the fight, in my opinion. And again, he mixed it up really well, did Tsarukyan. So 9 to the head, 7 to the body. Whereas Gamrot was pretty much only landing real damage to the head, 12. 12 and 1 to the body. So the total number is 16-13 in favor of Tsarukyan. He landed more. He did more damage, knocked him down, and Gamrot he had control, but not a lot. And you want to look at control time. So he did land 2 takedowns this round out of 5, having 1 minute and 40 seconds of control time. Tsarukyan had control time as well. So you want to negate that. You want to take those, I think the control time on both sides here was relatively even. You want to take those 24 seconds away from Gamrot as far as control time goes. Fine, that puts him back under 1 minute 20. I mean, this fourth round I think is pretty controversial. If you give that to Gamrot, I think you're missing something, and you're missing kind of the point of what a significant strike is and how we should be scoring those rounds. I'm pretty sure by all those measures, Tsarukyan won that. So I had him up 4-1. I had him up 4-0. There on my scorecard, I was like, okay, this is pretty academic. Gamrot needs to go out here and get a finish. In this fifth round, it was pretty good. The round was close. The damage was damn near even in my book, right? I felt like the strikes finally started to land for Gamrot. I feel like he started landing with some force now, keeping up with Arman's power. The total striking numbers were still in favor of Tsarukyan, 23-20. But I feel like this round was the one where Gamrot really showed, he did more. And his grappling was consistent. It was the same as it was in the last 2 rounds before that. Finally landed this same amount, if not more damage. So I gave that last round to Gamrot. I had him losing 49-46, but the judges all saw it 48-47 in favor of him. Now let's look at those scorecards, shall we? All 3 judges saw it exactly the same way here. Saul D'Amato, Chris Lee, and Ron McCarthy, all giving the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th round to Gamrot. 3rd round, arguable. Okay, I've already discussed that. 5th round, I agree. I think Gamrot did win that 5th round. 4th round? I don't think so, guys. I don't know if when they saw that, if they didn't think it was that significant, that back fist that knocked him down. I'm wondering if because of that and that alone, he didn't get as much credit for that maybe as he should have. And that's why. Even without that strike, I still feel like he was landing the bigger shots. In there, a lot of the kicks, they were kicks to the body, and I get that. But, kicks to the body are still damaging shots. I feel like they were still significant. He did a good job with them. I don't know. I'm not too happy about the way this shook out for Tsarukyan here. I feel like that's a little bit unfair. But depending on how things shake out here, I don't know if it's the end of the world for him. These guys are both ranked in the top 15. They were 11 and 12 before this weekend. Tsarukyan's probably going to drop down. I hope he doesn't drop down below Dan Hooker, but he could. He might even drop out of the rankings, even though I don't think that's fair. And Gamrot's probably going to jump into, and it's hard for him to jump into the top 10 unless Tony Ferguson gets bounced for some reason. Conor McGregor's still fucking here. Why? Nobody knows. And Charles Oliveira doesn't have his picture up here, which is interesting. Wait, why is Charles Oliveira listed as the number 1 contender? Are they trying to put Khabib back in here? Weird. Anyway, good fight. If you didn't watch this one, go back and watch it. Honestly, this whole card was pretty good. And as well as the next fight we're going to talk about here. Neil Magny versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. Holy shit. Okay, I'm not some savant, nor am I some underground dude who knows what's coming before everybody else does. I'm not. But I will say I have been, ever since Rakhmonov came to the UFC and shown what he can do, I have been very high on him. Okay? For the past year, right? So he submits Magny in the second round with a guillotine. Let's see. Past 2 years. 2020 is when he came in. So he's a perfect 8 wins by submission, 8 wins by knockout. Before this fight started, I was like, I wonder if he's going to do this on purpose to be such a well-rounded fighter. All of his fights are by wins are by finish. He is undefeated, 16-0. Very impressive so far in any organization, let alone 4 straight wins in the UFC and against a guy like Neil Magny. In that first round, the way Shavkat he caught a kick from Magny and just dumped him on the ground and got on top of him with ease. Man, if you didn't watch this stuff, go back and watch this, because up until this point, you could say some of the opponents that Rakhmonov was facing, they're good, but they're streaky opponents. They're not really necessarily contenders, and they aren't all consistently great, right? So maybe that's why he was able to beat him, just because he's more consistent. He's a relatively grounded fighter when it comes to both his demeanor, his fighting style. Nothing too flashy, very consistent. Sticks to the fundamentals. He's got very good fundamentals, but this fight was the telltale fight for me, and should have been for any like UFC fan. Neil Magny has a career of I would say it's not greatness adjacent. I'll tell you what I mean. So, looking at his career here, and just check this out, okay? Going all the way back to 2013. We're not going to go over every single fight, but he's got wins over guys like Tim Means back in 2014, Rodrigo de Lima, Alex Garcia. He lost to Damian Maia, beat Eric Silva when he was still something, got a controversial win over Calvin Gastelum. I remember that one. Big win over Hector Lombard after getting cracked. Win over Johnny Hendricks, Carlos Condit, Li Jingliang, Anthony Marco, Robbie Lawler, Jeff Neal is a huge win, and Max Griffin is another huge win for him. And then he loses, but he's also got losses to Chiesa, Ponzinibbio, Rafael dos Anjos, Lorenz Larkin, Damian Maia, Sergio Moraes. Names sound familiar. That's because it usually goes that Neil Magny is good enough to stay in the top 10, top 5 even sometimes. He just can't get it done when it comes to getting a title shot or being, obviously, then being a champion. So like I said, greatness adjacent. He's not a journeyman by any means. I wouldn't consider him a journeyman fighter, a guy who's just always around, because he can beat some really good guys on any given night, given his style, the way like his cardio. If you don't put him away and you waste a little bit of energy, he's going to make you pay for it. And I'm talking up Magny here because he's an excellent fighter. And Rakhmonov just made him look like a... Oh, God, I don't even know how to explain it. It looked like... This wasn't a flash thing either. So, I'm going to compare Rakhmonov to Khamzat just a little bit. They are in the same division. They've had very similar career trajectories when it comes to... their not their hype, because Khamzat had so much, but career trajectories and maybe not so much, because Hamzat got to fight somebody in the top 5 already in Gilbert Burns. Maybe their projected career path, let's put it that way. Both of them have been talked about as being future champions. Let's put it that way. So with Shavkat here, he isn't getting these flashy, immediate, jump in there, fling a guy around, get a knockout, get a submission. Although when he does do the thing, it happens very quickly, with he does have, 2 flashy knockouts and 2 really good submissions in the UFC. But he has not measured isn't the right, I don't mean measured in a negative way. So when I say a measured approach, I literally mean he's measuring to figure out, he's preparing to win. And he's like, I'm going to measure. He's like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure this out. That's my path to victory right there, and then does it. Right? That's what I mean by a measured approach. And he's clinical in the way he does it. It's amazing to watch him fight. And for me, that's more impressive than what Khamzat did, because Khamzat, I literally mean this the way I'm about to say it. Anybody in the world could get 2 flash knockout wins in the UFC, right? Or flash submissions in the UFC with really big movements and catching your opponent by surprise. Now, Khamzat did it against very good opponents, and I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm just saying what Shavkat's doing is more impressive. Dismantling your opponents, especially someone of the caliber of Magny, in the way that he did, taking him apart piece by piece and putting him down on the ground and doing whatever he wanted, taking 0 damage in return. Are you kidding me? This guy is not just the real deal. He's amazing. Amazing. Rakhmonov, if he had the notoriety that Chimaev did, he would already be in the top 5 and also challenging for a title. He just didn't have that career path when it came to the excitement about him. So that sucks for that part, but he's doing what he needed to do. And he got a win over number 10 in Neil Magny here. I don't see a way he doesn't end up in the top 10. I think he needs to be there for sure. And he called out Stephen Thompson, which I love. I think that's a great fight for him. I think it's a fun fight. Stephen Thompson makes everybody look bad. So nobody wants to fight him, right? Nobody wants to fight Thompson because most people lose to him. And, if you don't, even when you win, it's not the most exciting one. So it doesn't necessarily raise your stock the way you could get from other fights. Dude, seeing him against Thompson, I'm super excited for that. I'd love to see that. And I think Rakhmonov needs 2 wins to get a title shot, in my opinion. 1 over Stephen Thompson and then 1 over someone else here in the top 5 or whoever's in the top 5 at that point. Like a Sean Brady, if he manages to get in there, a Muhammad, a Burns, Chimaev even, Edwards. I think he can beat, based off what I saw here, I think he's a good matchup for a lot of these guys. It's really going to come down to, can he handle this high level wrestling in here, and we're not going to get a sense of that when he fights Thompson, but that's okay. Amazing fight. I know I spent a lot of time on that one too, but those two fights were the most important on this card, in my opinion. Oh, all right. Here, Josh Parisian versus what's his name here? Alain Baudot. Sloppy heavyweight fight. Josh Parisian is the definition of a sloppy heavyweight, just overweight guy. And Baudot is a little bit, they talk about him being technical or something, but he's throwing downward like punches like this and like with open hand and not in a way where he doesn't look good, man. Parisian ends up getting the TKO win in the second round here. This fight, I wrote down this fight is gross, but all right. Alain dropped Josh with a close short shot in the clinch, which was a good shot, and then he tried to finish him on the ground, couldn't get it done, kind of gassed himself out. Josh worked his way back up, and then he pushed forward, got a takedown, and put Baudot on his ass against the cage. So he was sitting down, and he basically he's standing over him, mounting him, and laying down punches, trying to get the end, get the referee to end the fight, but he didn't. Yeah, who was it? Mark Smith. Yeah. And then here in this, I gave that first round to Baudot. Not that it matters, but so in the second round here, Josh got an easy takedown to start the round, starts laying into him. Baudot got back up, but then immediately got taken back down, and then Parisian just gets the TKO finish, laying down some insignificant ground and pound, but enough to get the finish. So good for him. Like I said, sloppy heavyweight fight. You could probably skip that one. This card was not all killer. I will tell you that. Thiago Moisés versus Christos Giagos. Ended relatively quickly. 3 minutes. 3 minutes into the first round. Moisés worked his way into a takedown during a scramble, got the back, and then he was the human backpack for a little bit and ended up getting a submission to a standing rear naked choke. That was a really good finish from Moisés. I don't know where he sits. Yeah, because he just lost to Islam Makhachev and Joel Alvarez. So getting back on the win column, that's important. I don't know exactly where he sits. I wish the rankings, I know the rankings are stupid because they don't, especially in the top 15, some weird stuff happens. I already mentioned Conor McGregor's still in the rankings for some reason at number 8. But I wish I had a better sense of like all the fighters. And I know there's the world rankings. I get that. I understand. It's just there's so much information to take in. All right, we got Khabib's cousin here. Umar Nurmagomedov taking on Nate Maness. This fight was just one-way traffic, right? Umar was a minus 950 favorite, and justifiably so, and we saw it play out here. Judge scorecard 30-25, 30-26, and 30-27. 30-25, wow, 2-10-8s. That's, I'm not disagreeing. Maness did nothing. He landed 2 significant strikes the entire fight. He landed some pity-pat shots off of his back, but essentially he was on his back and or on his knee. No, pretty much just on his back, defending the entire fight. So didn't get much done, didn't do anything, and Nurmagomedov gets a great win. And Nurmagomedov did a great job with his kicks. Like he is a much better striker than Khabib ever was. So he's exciting to watch going forward, and let's step him up in competition because I do see. I want to see how he handles it. He has the air of early Khabib career, which people don't remember. It was not as illustrious as his later career was. So let's see how that turns out for him. But he is a much better striker. All right, and the first fight on the main card, Chris Curtis taking on Rodolfo Vieira. Chris Curtis is getting the win here via decision. Vieira really wanted the takedown. He did. He could tell in the first round, he just shooting from on the outside, super gross. You want to look at the takedown attempts here. He was 0 for 7 in the first round, 0 for 3 in the second round, and then 0 for 10 in the third round. Just garbage. Some of those takedown attempts were just straight garbage. Curtis was defending every single takedown attempt and landing good shots to the body in that first round. And if the damage is equal, which I thought it was, the aggression of Rodolfo kind of gave him that first round, in my opinion. So I gave the first round to Rodolfo 10-9. And then Vieira did get away with a low blow in the second round. Curtis was defending the takedowns very well in the second round, every single one of them. And then Vieira did not attempt as much, and Curtis landed more to the body. He started laying into the body and really sapping the cardio. The first round, like I said, the damage was pretty much equal, 17-19 in favor of Vieira. If you want to talk about who landed the more damaging shots, seemed like it was Curtis. So, maybe that all adds up, and then Vieira getting the grappling advantage and aggression. Curtis getting the damage here in the second round, and obviously Vieira having little to no control in the second round. In my opinion, he might have had some control as far as clinch work goes, but he was never on top of him. There was never any exchanges on the ground. Curtis was able to stay on his feet and land not at will, but much better than in the first round. 46-41 in favor of Curtis. I easily gave him that round. And then he landed the exact same amount of strikes in the last round, 46. But Vieira just wasn't throwing back as much in the third round. Wasn't able to. He was just shooting garbage takedown attempts and not able to get a good takedown, even a good takedown attempt in this third round. Good win for Curtis. And holy shit, guys, Chris Curtis has just stepped in, and what a great start to a UFC career. He's not a young guy. He's 35, and he's got tons of experience. He's 29-8 now. Oh, sorry, you guys can't see that. He's 29-8. It's just there's some guys have a different path to the UFC, and his was not the. I would say it wasn't the most traditional. I think the most traditional is someone who's, 15 fights into their career, 20 fights into their career, and they kind of come to the UFC then. And then every so often you get a guy who's, 10 fights or 5 fights into their career, who's a rising star, and they end up in there. And then Chris Curtis being on the other end of it, somebody who's got a lot of experience, pro experience, not just amateur experience, and comes into the UFC later in life. And not because, and then there's some fighters who come in, they're older, but they haven't been fighting that long because they were a wrestler for a long time, or they had a illustrious career somewhere else. So Curtis beating Sean Lawley, Phil Hawes, Brendan Allen, and Rodolfo Vieira. This guy just has been putting wins together, and the first 3 wins were by knockout, which is fantastic, and then this one did go the distance, not for lack of effort, that's for sure. He did land some good shots, and he said it in the post-fight interviews, I've never hit somebody that hard that many times in the body and not have him drop. So Vieira is one tough son of a bitch. That was a good card overall. I think the Curtis fight started it off really well. Nurmagomedov kind of dragged it down, but you're going to get that when you get a wrestle-heavy guy. Then there were some finishes. And then the Neil Magny and Tsarukyan fights were just fantastic. They're just great way to end the card. Cool to see some up-and-comers and some just future title contenders, in my opinion. I think it was awesome. So that is it. That's the main card. If you're looking for the prelims, I'll talk about that in the next video. If you're looking for, like I said at the top, if you missed that, the PFL and the Bellator, those are the last 2 videos. So if you made it this far, thanks for spending time watching this video. It means a lot to me. If you like any of this stuff, don't forget to hit subscribe, because then you'll see when the next videos come out. I said 2 or 3 videos every single week I put out, all covering the MMA. I don't take, as long as there's fights on, I really don't take a week off. So there's that, and I appreciate y'all for coming by here. It means a lot to me. If you like the video, click the like button, and I hope everybody has an amazing week. Love y'all.